So we're going to start with the cast on. Now for the cast on, what I do is I tie a knot. I leave a tail for later for weaving in the ends, and I'm going to tie a knot just to start the knitting, and eventually at the end this knot will be taken off and be open. It's a long tail cast on, but it's like casting on in pattern when you have pearls and knits. I'm working with pairs, and each pair is made of the light color and the contrast color. So I'm going to knit to cast on knitwise one color, and then I'm going to cast on purlwise the other color. So this is a pair, and for me this is one square of the pattern. So again, this is a regular knitwise cast on, and then I'm making one, sorry, my hands are sticky. Now I'm making a purlwise, so I'm coming from the outside of the loop, pointing inside, and I'm picking up the yarn from, I'm wrapping the yarn from the bottom over, and I'm just sliding it through the loop. So that's how I do the purlwise cast on. Okay, so you cast on like the pattern says. So that's the cast on I used. So I finished the cast on, and I just wanted to mention one thing, that notice that the purlwise cast on is going to be the color for the first of the pairs. So if you want to plan your colors, your garments, so make sure that the color you use on the purlwise cast on is the color that you want to start with as your main color. If the square is the dark color, so the dark color is going to be my knit, and then the other color, the light color, is going to be the purl. Then if the square is white, so I'm going to knit the light color and purl the dark color. So let's begin. The first pair is dark, so I'm going to use my dark color. I'm going to knit the first color, and then I'm taking both yarns to the front, and I'm going to purl the second of the pair with the light color, and I'm going to make sure that I'm twisting the yarns. So I'm making sure that the yarn that I just knitted is going to go over the yarn that I'm going to purl with. And this, I'm just making sure that both yarns are coming through my purl, the whole of the purl. So now I know that the colors, that both yarns are connected, and I don't have a separation at the edge. So now I can just hold the yarns as I would normally, and this always force me to, at the beginning of each row, to replace the yarns. If you don't untwist the yarns at the beginning, then you're gonna have a long twist. So I prefer at the beginning of each row to untwist the yarn. And now I'm going to just work the chart. So I have the first stitch I knitted with the dark color, and the second stitch is light. So I'm going to knit with the light color. Bring both yarns to the front, and I'm going to purl with a dark color. And bring both yarns to the back. And now I have a dark stitch, so I'm going to knit with the dark color. Bring both yarns to the front and purl with the light color. And bring both yarns to the back. Now I have another stitch with a light color, so I'm going to knit with the light color, bring both yarns to the front and purl with a dark color, and bring both yarns to the back. So I'm at the end of the row and I have one more stitch to knit, and that's the dark color. And this is the knot. When you count the stitches at the end of the row, be careful not to count the knot by mistake as a pair. So this is the knot that we made, and I'm just opening it. And that's it. I don't need to deal with it anymore. So this is row 1. Now that I'm turning and I'm going to work the wrong side, it is always the exact same thing as the right side. I mean the same colors in the same place. So I don't even need to watch the chart. I can just do the same. What I see is what I'm going to knit. So let me show you again how I start each row. I am knitting. If it's light, I'm knitting it with a light color, and I'm going to take both yarns, bring them to the front. And now that I'm purling this next color, the dark color, I want to make sure that the light color is over my yarn. And then I have the twist and I trap the light color and I'm safe. And now they are connected. You see, this is the twist. This is the twist that I want to open. I don't want to have this twist continue all over. So I'm going to take the dark cake and just take it over and separate the yarns. So they are not twisted. That's the second thing I do when I start the row. And I'm going to knit the dark with the dark and purl the light with the light. And I'm going to knit the light, purl the dark. So you get the idea. I don't even look at the chart. It's the exact same thing. So now we are going to meet again at the increases. So let's take a look at the increase. This is how an increase looks when I use the front strand, which is the dark color, and I use the increase is actually a light color stitch. So let's take a look and see how we can perhaps use the light color strand, which is in the back, and make the stitch come out of the same color. So if I want to use the back strand, because I want to use the light color to make my light stitch, if I use the strand and I have still the front strand in the front, then I'm gonna have the same disturbance here. So what I would do is pick up the strand and make sure I'm picking it up as a make one right from the back to the front, and make sure that my front leg is leaning to the right. And you can see that I had to pick it up underneath my front strand. So this strand is now connected to the first stitch, which is a dark color. And now I won't have the disturbance like I have here. So let's make one right, and I'm knitting to the front leg. Okay, now I got it. I'm gonna knit it with the light color. And now I need to do the same thing, but on the opposite side. So I'm actually making the back stitch is also going to lean to the right when I look at it from the right side, but it is actually the stitch that I'm going to see on the wrong side. So on the wrong side, it's going to lean to the left, right? So what I need to do is to bring my yarns in front, and you see that because I used the strand and I took it underneath the front strand, so the front strand automatically went to the back. I'm going to pick it up from the inside out because I want the back leg, that is the front of the wrong side, to lean to the right. And I'm actually making, and I'm going to knit the back leg so I can turn the stitch. Now here I can twist the yarns or not twist the yarns, it doesn't really matter. And I can take the yarns to the back. So you can see that if in this case I had a disturbance of the colors, it's not a smooth transition. Here I have a really smooth transition and I don't see the dark color in the increase. So this is, I can also see the same here, right? I see the dark side, it's a smooth transition and my stitch is leaning outwards. So I'm going to knit all the way now and show you the increase, the left increase. So I'm at the end of the row now, and I need to create the make one left. So here as well, the front stitch is in the light color, and I see that here the front strand is in the light color, so that's good. I'm going to use this. I'm coming from the front to the back and picking it up so the front leg is leaning to the left, and I'm going to knit the back leg. And the other stitch, I need it to lean to the left. It's the exact mirror of this stitch. So I'm going to come in from the front of the wrong side to the back of the wrong side, which is actually from the back of the right side to the front of the right side. And I'm going to bring the yarns forward and knit the front leg. So it's leaning outwards on the right side, and it's also leaning outwards on the wrong side. So yarns in the back, and I'm just going to knit the last two stitches. And you see we don't have any disturbance here with the colors. So we know how to do the increases at the beginning and the end of each row. And now we are going to do the decreases. So we are now on the first decrease row. So I had a problem decreasing the first stitch. I'm going to show you, like, the instinct is to just do an SSK because we want the stitch to lean to the left. So first thing, on every decrease I do, I need to pair the stitches I'm going to decrease. I'm going to decrease both of the right side stitches and then decrease both of the wrong side stitches. So I need to, first of all, put the next stitch of the right side next to the first stitch of the right side. So I will take the first stitch. I'm going to put my needle in the second stitch, hold the base of the stitches, and just pull out the left needle and put it back in the stitch. So now I have both stitches where I need them to be. Now, if I only do a slip, slip, knit, because the second stitch is in a different color, what happens is you always see the different color on the side. And it really bothered me. I didn't want this to happen. I wanted a clean edge. So what I had to do was try to find a way to, I lost this stitch. I had to find a way to fix that. So the only way I found was a little bit longer. So I'm going to slip the first stitch to the right needle, and I'm not going to knit it. It's going to cover the decrease. Actually, I'm using it to cover my decrease. So to make the decrease, I'm going to use the stitch below. So I'm going to lift the stitch below to my left needle. And now I can knit them together. And I'm going to knit them together through the back loop. So they are twisted towards my direction. And this makes the first stitch the color that I want to be visible in my direction. And the back stitch is the light color and it is hidden behind it. So this is the first thing that I needed to do. So I do have now 2 stitches on my needle, and I'm going to decrease when I come back at the end of the row. Now I need to have the second decrease for the wrong side stitches. And this decrease is just slip, slip, and purl. So I bring the yarns to the front. I'm going to slip, slip, and I'm going to purl them together. I'm making sure my yarns are twisted. Oh. And I am purling them together. So as you can see here, also my light color is at the front of the wrong side. And that's what I wanted. I wanted the dark color to be hidden. You can see the dark color behind it. So this is the first decrease. And I'm just going to knit all the way to the end of the row and show you the left side decrease. And so I knitted the row and I'm at the end of the row. And again, I need to decrease both stitches of the right side and both stitches of the wrong side. So I need to have the second right side stitch next to the first one. So I'm taking the first one, putting my needle inside the second one and holding the base of the stitches, and I'm just taking my left needle out and put it back in. So I have both stitches next to each other and both stitches of the wrong side next to each other. And now this, the first decrease is just a regular knitted together, and it will be with the dark color. Oh. Okay, because it's the continuous of this edge. And the second decrease, again, if I just do knitted together, then I'm going to see the dark color. So what I had to do is some sort of a twist to have the light color covering the dark one. So I'm going to bring the yarns to the front, and I need to come with the right needle through the other side of the stitches. I'm going to come from outside inwards, so but behind. So instead of purling regularly, I need to purl it through the other side. So I'm just inserting the needle in the opposite way, and now I get the twist that I want, and I'm going to use my light color to purl the stitches. And so you can see that the front stitch is covering, the dark stitch is covering the light one. And on the other side, I have the light color over the dark color. So this is how it's supposed to look like. These are the decreases, and now I want to show you how to sew the pieces together. So this is the wrong side, and I have the edge stitches with a light color, and on the right side the edge stitches are with a dark color. So I'm using both colors, each one for the different side, but I prefer to knit it simultaneously, because if I only knit one side, it pushes all the bulk to the other side, to the back side, and then at the back side the stitches will not be so neat. So it is better to work it simultaneously. Here it's only a few rows, so it doesn't really matter, but when you sew the sleeve to the body, don't do one side and then go back to the other side, because the other side will be a mess. So I'm coming in at the base of the first stitch. And I'm kind of duplicate stitching this stitch. I'm going back through the base, and I'm going to come in the base of the stitch next to it on the other side. And now I'm going to duplicate to this stitch to the other side. And come in through this base. And now I can come in not to the base next to the stitch, but to the base of the stitch above it. So this will be my next stitch. And I'm going to duplicate that stitch. It's here. So I'm duplicating this stitch, going back, going back into the base and to the base of the stitch next to it. And now you don't pull the strand too much, you just let it lie and it's fine. So again, I'm going to duplicate it to the other side. And go back in to the base and diagonally to the base of the stitch above. Now let's take a rest and take a look on the other side and see what's happening on the other side. So looking on the other side, I see that it starts pushing everything out, and this is where I want to start sewing the other side before it's too late. You can see that they are pushed apart because of the stitches. So I'm going to come in through the base of the first stitch and I'm going to duplicate it. And go in to the stitch next to it. Right, and so now I can just pull a little bit to make sure that they are connected and you don't see the light color in between. And I'm going to duplicate this stitch to the other side. And go in the base and enter the base of the stitch below, stitch above. And I'm going to duplicate this stitch, come in the base and to the base of the next stitch. Duplicate this one to the other side. And come in the base and come out on the base of the stitch above. And so now I'm about the same height as the light color. So I can make one more stitch and then go back to the other side. Duplicate the stitch, come into the base of the stitch and come into the base of the next stitch. And I'm turning it over again. And looking at that everything is fine here. Yeah, everything looks fine and I can just continue doing like 1 or 2 stitches of each side and not good. I locked the yarn. So, okay. 1 or 2 stitches of each side, and that's how I would do the stitches of the sleeve and the body. And that would be a little less neat because you know that there are rows and also there are, you have at the sleeve, the rows come sometimes on the other way. You have the head of the row and you have the side of the body. So you have to play with it a little bit, but this is how I make it so neat and tidy.